We're reading a complete shutdown for Dexter's lab. Our power levels are at optimum efficiency.
Excellent. Excellent.
What's good, people? Agent Jules reporting for duty. So I saw the Willoughbys, and I liked it. You know, I was very much entertained by it. It feels very opposite to my feelings on the Midnight Gospel, which is the video I did last time. It even though it did some things kind of bad, there's a lot of mistakes it made that I am excusing on a very selfish, biased, emotional level. So, to get into it, let us go ahead and fasten our seatbelts inside a house with neglectful parents. Let us go ahead and plot their demise via a convoluted vacation. Let us also smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm, as always, so we can appease the oligarch overlords. And let us go ahead and talk about the Willoughbys. So, first things first, let's talk about the speed paint I'm making. The speed paint is of Tim Willoughby, the eldest Willoughby sibling, and he's laughing like Mandark from Dexter's Lab because they both have the same haircut and they both kind of look the same. And I was like, ha ha, it's Mandark with pink hair. Ha 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 ha. And so I thought that was funny, and so I made it. It's not too much thought into it. Anyway, let's actually go ahead and talk about the Willoughbys now. So, as I said, I liked it. I liked it for a very specific reason, and it's the theme of my channel when it comes to cartoons, which is the characters. I really enjoy the characters. The Willoughby siblings, the Willoughby parents, the babysitter, the Candyman guy, the cats, they're all fun. They're great. I love watching them do their quirky weirdo thing. And because of that, there's a lot about the story, the actual plot itself, that on an intellectual level I find to be a little convoluted, but I don't care. I don't care because I was just having fun watching the kids go through it. The basic story, we're just gonna say spoilers from here on out because I'm gonna have to talk about the movie. So anyway, the basic concept of the Willoughbys is that the Willoughbys are a proud family heritage of like great explorers and great philosophers and great people, right? It's a family tradition that goes back generations, and the funny thing is that all Willoughbys, including the women, grow glorious mustaches, and so it all culminates to the latest Father Willoughby, who is not a good Willoughby at all, because he and his wife are very neglectful of their children. And so the Willoughby children resent their neglectful parents, and especially Tim, the eldest sibling, is particularly peeved at his parents because they're essentially sullying this great Willoughby name. And he dreams of one day honoring the name and being great once more, but he can only do that if they can escape this conundrum that they find themselves in. So we have, like I mentioned, Tim the eldest. We have Jane, the middle child, the one with the glasses, and the one who sings out the window and whatnot. That's her thing, is like she loves to sing. We have the Barnaby twins, who do the creepy twin thing, and they're also like genius savant inventors. It all starts with them finding an orphan baby on their doorstep, and Jane wants to keep the baby, but Tim wants to get rid of the baby because because their parents hate children, and he doesn't want to, gain their ire, because every time he gets in trouble, he has to be sent to the coal room, which is literally like the basement with all the coal and the furnace, and it's terrible. So they find this baby. Then they decide to give the baby up for adoption somewhere. So they go off to this guy, Commander Melanoff, who is like this candy tycoon, this Willy Wonka guy. He's voiced by Terry Crews, which is hilarious. Basically, Terry Crews, Willy Wonka. And so they drop the baby off there. They name the baby Ruth. And then they return home, and they're finally sick of their parents. You see how this is starting to get kind of weird and convoluted, because they introduce this orphan baby as if it's going to be the linchpin of the story. And the orphan baby Ruth is still part of the story, but she's not really as big of a deal as you would expect her to be because she was introduced in such an important way. So that was kind of confusing to me. But anyway, so they give her up for adoption, and Commander Melanoff, the Candyman, basically takes her in, and that's all good. They're like, okay, cool, we're done. So I was just like, okay, that was quick. Okay, I guess we're done with the orphan. So they go back, and I think what they were trying to do is they were trying to use that as an idea to plant into the Willoughbys' heads, going, orphan? That means no parents. What if we orphaned ourselves? So they decide, like, well, we need to kill our parents, basically, but we can't just up and, kill them like that. So they decide to create a travel vacation itinerary, basically, to take their parents all the way over, all around the world to these super dangerous places, basically to get them killed by adventuring. So they create this brochure, plant it in front of their parents, and of course the parents are hilarious. They're very proper and the stereotypical queen shittingly British, and they just absolutely despise their horrible offspring, and they're just delightfully terrible. And of course they just pick up this brochure and go, yeah, sure, cool, let's go. And so the kids are like, yeah, high five, yeah, we got rid of our parents, but they sent a nanny. The nanny is Linda. And now we get into the whole, like, okay, Tim in particular, the eldest Willoughby, is particularly distrusting of Linda, thinking that she essentially works for his parents. And she kind of does, but she kind of doesn't. She's basically the nice character. I should probably stop describing the plot because it goes kind of all over the place. So to sum it up, it's basically about Linda trying to gain the trust of particularly Tim. Tim is kind of the main Willoughby sibling. Like, yes, Jane has her own little story. The Barnabys, not so much. But Tim is kind of he's kind of our audience surrogate. He's the Willoughby we as the audience are meant to be the most invested in. So the story really is about earning his trust and allowing him to accept a parental figure that wasn't abusive, is the long story short of this. But despite how convoluted this whole plot kind of is, again, I greatly enjoyed it because every step of the way, these characters are just funny. They're fun, they're funny, they're nice and fleshed out, and just seeing them go through this insanity that they have plotted and that is crashing down upon their heads is beautiful. There's a point in the movie where because the parents ran out of money on their death trip that isn't killing them, they decide, hey, we'll just sell the house. Forget about the kids, we're selling the house. So this realtor comes to try to sell the house. So the Willoughby kids are like, oh man, we got to figure out how to scare away these potential buyers. So they like Home Alone this place and jury rig it with booby traps. And there's that whole thing. And it's just this hilarious montage of all these people go like, oh, what a lovely house. And like getting booted out by a trap door shooting them through the roof, and this and that and that and this. The story is just so everywhere that I'm having a hard time even trying to keep my train of thought to describe everything, but I don't care. You know what it is? This is a testament to how good characters can save even a convoluted plot. Because as long as your plot is kinda sorta going somewhere, it doesn't matter because the characters are ultimately what drives it. I can't remember when I said this, but a long time ago on this channel, I made a video where I was talking about what I believe the difference between plot and story is. Plot essentially is kind of the external driving factors that gets the story moving. A plot is about a great war, or an adventure, or a MacGuffin that needs to be taken care of. In Lord of the Rings, the plot is that this ring is evil and needs to be destroyed. Story, I believe, is about character development, characters going from A to B in their journey, basically. So in Lord of the Rings, the story is about the Fellowship changing. It's about Frodo going from the smiling, innocent hobbit to this weathered, wizened individual who has to go through the closest thing to literal hell and back to grow. It's about Gimli and Legolas setting aside their racial prejudices and becoming unlikely friends. That's the story of Lord of the Rings. The story of the Willoughbys is about these kids who learn to trust parental figures. It's the story about a nanny, Linda, who herself was an orphan. That's kind of a thing that happens in the story. It's about her reaching out and doing her best to take care of these children who are clearly abused. It's about forging a family. It's a Lilo and Stitch thing. It's like this ragtag group of people who come together and form a family at the end. And that's the story. And because I enjoyed the story of the Willoughbys so much, I was able to excuse the plot being all over the place. If I were to, and here I am, I'm about to do the sin of rewriting someone else's work. If I were the king of the world, king of the forest, if I were to redo the Willoughbys, it almost seems like it would be better off as kind of a series instead of just a movie. Like if they did a mini series, kind of like because the tone of it reminds me so much of a series of unfortunate events. I think it would have done the Willoughbys good to be like a series of unfortunate events and essentially be a TV series. So you can have the orphan episode, and then you can have the nanny episode, and then you can have the oh no, they're buying the house episode, because that's what it kind of felt like. Like the plot felt so convoluted because it felt like many stories happening at once. And for all I know, maybe it was meant to be a series, but then, you know, it's Hollywood. Things happen in Hollywood where things get changed, executives decide to do something else, and then you have to compromise and make something. So who knows? But you know what? For what they had, man, they really made those characters, for I guess appropriately, metaphorically, but also literally sing. They really made these characters stand out and glow and just be amazing, to the point where, again, as I said before, despite the convolution of the plot, I was still able to greatly enjoy it because I was there for the characters. I wasn't there for the lunacy they were going through. I was there for them. So, with all that rambling aside, let's go ahead and wrap it up for today. So you people know what to do. If you like what you see and you want to see more, go ahead and tickle those sacred buttons. Go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. If you want to have a chat, go ahead and comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, especially if you saw it. Because I kind of want to know what you thought of the plot, because as I've mentioned, I felt it weird. Maybe you guys kept track of it better. Maybe that just makes me a fool. I don't know. Also, go ahead and share the video, because it's always good for the channel. It's good for you guys because it shows that you watch good content, and it's always good to show off your galaxy brainedness. And of course, if you wish to stalk me elsewhere on the interbuts, I always provide my links here up on the screen if you want to type them in manually, or if you want to go to my intro video where I have all the links where you can click them from there. The reason why I do that is for algorithm nonsense. Otherwise, I would put them all in the video. Like each individual video, I just have the links. But, you know, them's the rubs. But, with all that said, I thank you for spending this time with me. I hope you all stick around. And until next time, deuces.